If at first you don't succeed, try again. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is another declaration of truth from your host, Terry A. Hurlbut. The Space Exploration Company, or SpaceX, will try again to test fly the largest, most powerful rocket ship anyone ever built. When they tried on Monday morning, a valve froze. So when the team couldn't unfreeze it, they continued, as they would, with a wet dress rehearsal. Actually, they got up to the vent down sequence, but they couldn't do that. Now, did the stuck valve prevent that? SpaceX won't say. But they do say they will try to launch Starship within a 62-minute launch window between 8:28 a.m. and 9:30 a.m. Central Time today. They tweeted out an announcement yesterday evening, and I have a link to it in the description. Now, in anticipation of this second flight test attempt, I'm going to remember another great American project. But first, I do want to shout out to the prime sponsor of this channel, which is Conservative News and Views. Link in the description. And be sure to check out the awesome CNAV Store. Scroll down near the bottom for that link. Lots of great merchandise there, especially this t-shirt that I have chosen for today, which depicts a frog in a duck's beak, but the frog is choking the duck by the neck so that the duck can't swallow it. And the caption, never give up. Appropriate here, I would say. Now, one more thing. If you like what you're about to hear, you can like this video. You can also click the bell icon to get a notice every time I come out with a new one. In fact, do you see the new icon, the heart shape with the US dollar sign in it? That's the super thanks icon. If you really want to keep these videos coming, click that and leave me a tip. Any currency will do, so long as it's legal tender. Now, to understand the importance of this developmental milestone in rocketry, let's remember Apollo 11. That first successful landing of a man, actually two men, on the moon, and their safe return to Earth was wonderful. It was so wonderful that for a long time a significant number of people refused to believe it. Oh, they could believe in the launch, but not the landing or the moonwalk. Indeed, some people still won't believe it to this day. Apollo 11 captured the imagination of the public through the sheer wonder of watching people walk on another world. But America got to that point by playing on public fear that another power would seize the high ground of space. The spectacles of Soviet pilots flying in formation over our country caused the public to continue to fund Project Mercury through its 6 flights. That's because when NASA looked at a Soviet rocket ship, they saw a low Earth orbit strategic bomber. Nikita S. Khrushchev, then the General Secretary of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union, and the most powerful man in Russia, did not help with his empire-building boasts. You know the words. Whether you like it or not, history is on our side. We will bury you. Now, he might actually have said that as a threat to Poland's diplomatic corps, not the United States, or so says Reuters. Nevertheless, he said a number of other empire-building things. One of them, allegedly, was this. Let's look in 1970 and see who was right. By 1970, Khrushchev was gone, and Soviet industrial capacity did not eclipse American. Nevertheless, Americans pushed hard to land a man on the moon, and did so. Project Apollo achieved 5 more landings, but then Congress lost interest. And with 6 landings in the bag and the Soviets producing nothing close, Congress decided the fight was over. Actually, the Soviets did try to build a heavy lift rocket, the N-1. It failed 4 times, and one of those failures destroyed the launch complex. The Americans would not appreciate the magnitude of these failures until decades later. And when they did, well, a lot of Americans are saying that we were had. Ironically, Russian-American rivalry also plays a role in the development of Starship and the rest of SpaceX program. Elon Musk, the founder of SpaceX, traveled to Russia to try to buy boosters. At the time, Russia still had the heaviest equipment. According to witnesses, the Russians treated him with schoolboy scorn, as they quoted him a price they must have known he couldn't pay. So he said to himself, if he couldn't buy rockets, why not build them? So he developed a launch system with a reusable first stage and a capsule that could at least carry cargo. During this time, the space transport system, the shuttles, stopped flying. Today, the shuttles are all museum pieces, except the two, Columbia and Challenger, that NASA lost with all hands aboard. Now Americans had to rely on Russian hardware even to lift astronauts to their own space station. That is, until SpaceX developed a human-rated, 4-person capsule. But SpaceX has never had so narrow a mission as eclipsing the Russians or even standing in to replace them. I am now going to remind you of what Elon Musk's long game really is. But first, I want to shout out to a sponsor who can really help you through the economic storms to come. That sponsor is oursilverlines.com. Do you feel like you're working harder for your money just to get by? You are not alone. The fluctuating economy, employment issues, unexpected changes in life have left many families struggling over the past few years. Collecting gold and silver can help shield you against many of these challenges. But if you're like me many years ago, you don't know where or how to start. Our Silver Lines helps by connecting you with thousands of members who are learning the secrets to creating and protecting true wealth by collecting precious metals. Whether you just want to collect rare and unique coins or take advantage of the business opportunities this company provides, either way, they can help you learn to live an exceptional life. Visit oursilverlines.com to learn how you can build a legacy to your future. Now, as I told you, Elon Musk is playing the long game. In fact, he is bent on a project greater than, it seems, any Russian ever dared conceive. He wants to plant an industrial colony on another world, specifically Mars. Mars is, of course, smaller than Earth, with a surface gravity of 38% of Earth's. This would allow a rocket ship to touch down and take off again. Rockets could do that to and from the moon, and have done it during Apollo. They can't do that to and from Earth. Single stage to orbit seems to violate the Tsiolkovsky rocket equation, because very rapidly usable fuel adds weight to any rocket. But Starship is powerful enough to carry at least 100 metric tons into space. Then, with orbital refueling, it will carry those 100 metric tons to Mars and land them there. After that, the crew might be able to make the fuel they need to return to space, which is why Starship uses liquid methane and liquid oxygen. Even before Starship goes to Mars for the first time, it will carry larger payloads than ever before, and less expensively too. That, of course, is how SpaceX pays for its development program. Compared to Project Apollo, Starship starts with a key disadvantage, or is it? Contrary to popular belief, SpaceX does not rely on public funds to support research and development that it would not support anyway. NASA paid the full cost of research and development for Project Apollo and its precursor programs, Mercury and Gemini. all that SpaceX has charged NASA is the cost of each launch plus a small bonus. In addition, SpaceX has developed its own payloads, specifically satellites, for a new internet service called Starlink. Starlink promises to reach even the hardest to reach land areas, and recently announced a maritime service. I have a link in the description to their tweet announcing Starlink Maritime. Another alleged disadvantage, that Starship doesn't have the support of a public eager to beat the Russians. Well, then again, That proved a fickle motive for Project Apollo, which didn't come close to intended completion. SpaceX has the long-term vision and the financial strength to carry it through. Unlike any of NASA's contractors, SpaceX is a one-stop shop, and in essence is running its own space program. Now, that might be the most wonderful thing about Starship, that a private individual is running the program to develop it and use it. 65 years ago, no one could have imagined that any private individual or company could run a space program. Today, such a private company is preparing to test the largest spacecraft anyone ever conceived. One can only imagine what Nikita S. Khrushchev or his successor Leonid I. Brezhnev would think. Links in the description of the article to SpaceX test announcement and the Starlink maritime announcement, to 2 live stream links where you can watch the test, one from SpaceX and the other from a channel calling itself NASA Spaceflight, to my Declarations of Truth Twitter account and to Conservative News and Views. I've also left links to the awesome CNAV Store and to oursilverlines.com, as I also mentioned. You know already about how to like a video, turn on notifications, and leave a tip. On the end screen, I'm going to leave a subscribe link to my channel and links to my space playlist and to both of the live stream links. This is Terry A. Hurlbut delivering another declaration of truth and reminding you to let the truth set you free.